So it's obvious that Gen Z men have lost it. Gen Z men have problems, and nobody's talking about the real problems. They have problems in every area of life. In short, Gen Z men have lost a sense of purpose. They've lost a reason to just be alive. That's the primary reason that suicide rate in Gen Z men is through the roof. Suicide rate in men these days is through the roof because think about it. They go to work every day, some of them, and they have nothing to look for. You see, and why it's different from men of the past is if you compare men of the past or the previous generation to the Gen Z men, you get to realize how and why things are falling apart. You see, I'll start right. My father's generation, they keep talking about how work was something that they enjoyed, family something that they enjoyed, that they looked out for, that they wanted to have. But guess what? These days, family is out of sight for the average Gen Z man. Family is out of sight. Wealth, financial freedom is completely out of sight. And the moment, what will make this thing worse is the moment somebody steps up to speak on behalf of Gen Z men, he's being told to shut off. I'm not even going to the whole gaslighting system they do. I'm not even going to how they try to make Gen Z men feel guilty. And the whole point is, for the next few days, I'll be talking about how yourself as a Gen Z man can solve your problems in all these areas of life, right? From your health, to your wealth, relationships, happiness, purpose. So let's start with number one, which is the fact that Gen Z men have lost a sense of purpose. You see, men in the past, right, they used to wake up every day with an idea that I'm working towards something. I'm working for my family. I'm working for the job I'm going for was self-satisfactory. What that means is if I work in that job, right, at least when I get paid, that payment can take care of my family. And again, they loved the job that they did. But these days, what's really happening with the job system? The jobs barely, with the inflation, can barely help you survive. Once even going to the AI aspect here, let's refer to before AI. What was happening with it? Right? Jobs these days, they feel very, very soulless. Right? You see, and when you start hearing things like work-life balance, what you often don't realize is anybody speaking of work-life balance is somebody who hates the work that they do. They hate it. People who really love what they do, they integrate their life and their work together. And that's, there's no such thing as balance. So if you begin to realize that work-life balance is a topic that tells us that people are not happy with their work, guess what? It should allow us as a society to step back and ask questions that really, really matter. Saying that to pick a line of work, right? What kind of work will I pick? Because take it or leave it, work takes a large chunk of your life, regardless of what you do, regardless of where you live. Work takes a very large chunk of your life. So let's start asking ourselves real questions around the kind of work that we really, really do. You see, when I'm talking to guys, right? I always tell guys so, rather than set goals, design your life. If you design the life you want to live in the next 5 to 10 years, right, you begin to ask yourself, what job will I enjoy right now that will get me there? And we live in a time where there is so much opportunity, but what is stopping you actually? I'm not going to lie to you, is distractions. Any man who can curb distractions, trust me, is halfway there already, right? The rest is just showing up. If you can take out the distractions. And whenever I'm talking to men, I often see that their big problems start with distractions. But guess what? The more you are into your purpose, the less distracted you are. Harsh truth. What that means is there's no complex system to become focused, to become purpose driven. Just lock in, take out your distractions completely. But that aside, the jobs don't pay well, right? They are not fulfilling. In the very end, they're not fulfilling means that they are soulless. In the very end, AI feels like it's coming for every kind of job. Literally, AI is coming for every kind of job. So it depends on what you want to do, right? And like I said, I will speak about solutions later in other videos, right? Where I take up every industry, right? And then speak about them bit by bit. The third area where Gen Z are suffering is health. Health. At the point of making this video, this is Men's Mental Health Month. And one thing is obvious that they've taken the mental health to be a complete joke. It's not meant to speak up. But the quick question now is, what happened to the men that spoke up in the past? What really happened to them? You see, I always tell people that any idea that gets to the mainstream media, you should be very, very wary of, because somebody is sponsoring that act. Now, who is sponsoring the speak up campaign? Well, therapists, big pharma, They're pouring billions of dollars into this idea of telling men to speak up. But the question is, for the men that spoke up, what progress did they make? You see, the solution to men's mental health is supposed to be simple, but we complicate it. Give men a sense of purpose with a group of men that are like-minded, and trust me, the way mental health will leave the room overnight, then don't worry, it's very, very... Okay, you know what? No, let me rephrase it. To solve mental health, to solve men's mental health, this is what you should do. Bring a group of men and give them a vision to work towards. And if a man doesn't have a group of men to be with, give him a purpose to live for. That is all. You see, and that is the root cause of men's mental health. But they know that if they say this, right? And in short, forget if they say, they know that even they know right now that men feel worthless. They know this. No, they know this. They know this. And they know that men feel worthless. And when I say they, I'm referring to the people that are looking out for control. You see, when Andrew Tate used to talk about Matrix, I used to think he was just talking about it for the sake of gathering attention. But no, he was right. There is a heavy intention, a super intention to get men to feel bad about themselves. So when they say it's intentional, what do you want to do? What do you think you can do to solve the problem? They know the men are heavily distracted. And the worst part is that, think about it. If you just go out and look at every people, even people at the gym, just look at people who are resting during workouts, they're on their phone. What means is that by the time you put your head up, time has passed. And that time you could have spent doing something quality, guess what? Has gone. You can't get it back. So I tell you that as a man living today, right, most of your problems will be solved if you handle your distractions, right? So now, speaking of health, the generation before, right, everything around them was already healthy by default. The default lifestyle was close to healthy. If you remove all those pollutions, it was close to healthy. Their foods were real foods, right? Their lifestyle of walking to the bus stop, walking to get a train was already enough. Think about it. This whole World Health Organization is telling us to take 10,000 steps per day. I'm like, no. They didn't say that before in the past. So what is this obsession about steps? In short, they are telling people to take 1,000 steps. Do you know what 1,000 steps is? I don't know that distance, but 1,000 steps is what one should either make, even in the house alone. 1,000 steps is enough for you to make in your house alone. But guess what? We're telling people to make it so that what? That should be what? A baseline health. And I'm like, what? Is the world that obese? Speaking of health, man, they've sort of glorified, they've tried to glorify the idea of obesity. Now, I'm not entirely sure that thing still flies, because the influencers they use for obesity, you see, you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality, right? You see, these influencers they use to influence the idea of obesity, some of them are beginning to realize that, okay, all right, there's a problem somewhere. Some of them are sucking the fat out of their body. Some of them are not hitting the gym. I think even coupled with this whole idea of the vaccine, a couple of celebrities, I don't want to call their names, they kind of realized obesity is not the way forward. So what that means is a lot of men have believed the lies over the years. The amount of propaganda I even see around health is just crazy. And when one asks, right, what is the best diet for the health? Every 3 months, there's a new research. And sometimes this research, I always tell you that if it gets to the mainstream media, I call it propaganda. I'm sorry. I call it propaganda because the people who are doing the real research to make you healthy, to make you strong, to make you avoid the hospital, these guys are actually not, they don't have money to get to the mainstream media. They don't have people sponsoring them. And this is why I'm grateful for people like Andrew Huberman, right? I heard Andrew Huberman spent like 10 years doing whatever it is that he's doing right now. So think about it. But instead, some clown will go to a laboratory, right? He will take processed salt and then test it on lab rats and then come up with a conclusion that supports the big pharmaceutical industries. And guess what? We now have a lifestyle habit that we're now changing because of maybe CNN brought up this thing and said this is a new research. No, G. Maybe not CNN, but maybe not CNN. But the whole point is mainstream, right? So we're speaking about health, the fact that jobs just feel soulless, no purpose, they can't even pay for the life. Health, relationships. You see, relationships, like I said, is a problem for another day. That I think this is why this relationship space is so big. We have a lot of scammers in this place, right? You see, relationship these days is a complete joke. The women are delusional. The men are disenfranchised. It just feels like the men are useless in relationships. And it often comes from media, right? Movies where the guys are bumbling idiots, from news reports on how much divorces are going on, and the fact that guys are thinking of how their entire assets are being wiped out. We have the red pill space, right? Who's not properly explaining these things to men, right? Because I said the red pill space is supposed to expose you to an idea so that it will help you make the proper decision when you are going for a wife, a girlfriend, or a girl for fun. It's supposed to help you expose or help your thinking. But guess what? Because of the attention wise, the attention they can get from the red pill space, they never educate you in that direction. Because they know that if you understand the red pill space, you no longer watch those content anymore because it's become useless. You feel like you have gotten what you need. So guess what? They just keep bringing up the awareness. It's like people who speak about assault, they never talk about solution because the solution is not. They know that automatically if you bring up a solution, then by default, you no longer have an audience anymore. So guess what? They will never, ever, ever, ever bring up a solution because they want you stuck there. Then, in terms of relationships, men these days, this idea that we have removed traditional roles is also a very big problem, right? It's because if you ask, right, why should I have you as a partner if we are doing the same thing? Even people who fly planes, there's a pilot and then a co-pilot, right? There is a main pilot and an assistant pilot. They never do the same thing, right? They don't do the same thing. Only a very few cases where they come together to think of a solution. But the idea is that we have somebody who is precisely more experienced taking that flight. We have somebody who is fully responsible. But guess what? They've removed that idea from what the family system. So the family system itself has been crumbling for a while. It just took a while for us to realize that there's a very big problem somewhere. And when men don't have, the whole idea of monogamy, right? The idea of monogamy was to give the average man a chance, was to give an average man something to live for. That was why monogamy was created. Monogamy was not created by God. Although they bring up scriptures in the Bible, but those scriptures are always out of context. Monogamy was created by Christianity to help the average man find purpose. Now, I'm not going to speak against the family because, right, it's a blessing. It's a thing that keeps men, right? It keeps some men organized and it keeps some women have like a sense of family, right? Other than the other approach. But one thing I'll say for sure is that they have destroyed the family units. Me, I suggest the family units. I suggest it 100%. By the way, I also suggest polygamy though. What I suggest the family system is even there are some men who just want somebody to be with. And I'm not against it. So don't come out tomorrow and ask me, am I against the family system? No, I'm not. But all I'm saying is that men should feel wanted in the home. Men should feel loved in the home. Men should feel like they are very, very grateful. I'm saying this because my dad was present in my family in the house, right? And I know how much he did because I basically went to work with him at some point, and then just made me feel grateful for him. I think that's what men want. They don't want kids to pay back. Men don't want the wives to pay back. All they want is just be grateful for the fact that I have you, that you guys have me, and that's all. And you do that by what? Just being respectful. Speaking of respect, the average young man these days is not supposed to expect respect from anybody. It happens. And now another key component of relationships, right, is men. Men don't have other men in their life. Men don't have male friends. And I always tell you that if you want to solve men's mental health, I've said it over and over again. If you want to solve men's mental health, bring a group of men in a room, give them a vision to work towards. Now, the problem is a couple of years ago, that vision was mostly war. Bring a group of men, tell them, we'll go and conquer a land, come with us. Yep, I know that times have changed and nobody's going to conquer anybody, which is a problem. So a lot of men have not really adapted. So the key thing here is men have not adapted to all these new lifestyle changes. They have not adapted. Health-wise, they've not adapted. Relationship-wise, they have not adapted. Making money-wise, they have not adapted. Or how else? Happiness, they have not adapted. And the last component of this conversation is what? Happiness. You see, a lot of men have outsourced their happiness to other people. But I have spoken to men who are genuinely happy, and I'm a happy person, by the way. And one thing I've realized is happiness comes from within. But I'm not going to tell you like all those Buddhists, oh, it's from within. No. Happiness for a man comes from the fact that he's moving towards something. He's on purpose. You see, that masculine energy, if you look at all the definitions of masculinity, right, you get to realize that masculine energy is moving towards something. Feminine energy is grounded. That is the reason why men penetrate, women just stay there. So you get the point. Look at any object that claims to be male. It has to be driving towards something. And that drive is what makes it attractive to the feminine. That drive is what makes it attractive to the feminine. So what that means is a man's source of happiness is not with the material things, but the fact that he's moving towards something. Yeah. It's the fact that he's moving towards something. Even that's the reason when Andrew Tate said, right, if you want to solve men's mental health, let him go and have 6 packs. Right? And people are like, it's shallow. It's not, 6 packs itself is shallow, right? But it's what is going on behind the scenes. A man who is walking towards 6 packs has a goal that he's moving towards. And that's the truth. He has a goal that he's working towards. But guess what? People never see that. People will see the 6 packs and make it be like it is shallow. No. So in fact, the mind has a direction. Don't worry. Automatically, it's the direction and the progressive realization of that goal that makes men happy. But these days, guess what? We have tied men's happiness to what? Material things. You see, and when I talk to like guys that are older than me, which I always tell guys, please always have people that are older than you in your life. One thing you get to realize is these guys have this material stuff, but these things don't really matter. It's the fact that what is the next thing? What is the next thing? It is the journey that matters. That's why, heck, if you watch my vlog, I'm like, where am I running to? Right? It's the journey itself. Because if all your goals were to appear your front today, what will happen? Would you really value it? How grateful would you be? So all these areas of life, I'll be picking them out one by one, and I'm talking about them for the next 5 to 6 days, right? Gen Z problems with dating, Gen Z problems with health, what should we do? And I don't really think you should miss out on that thing because I feel like it's going to be me pouring out everything that works, because these days, man, the advice that I'm hearing online is complete BS. So I think I don't want to like ramble on this because I've been talking about this, I've repeated myself on certain occasions. So men's happiness comes from the fact that they are working towards something. And what that means is if a man is working towards something, he sees himself happy. That's why a book was written, Man's Search for Meaning. And that book has sold millions of copies over decades. So what that means is that, if not billions, no, it should be millions, because I don't think 1 billion people can read books. So there are hundreds of millions of copies that have been sold over decades. What that means is, deep down, you as a man, you're searching for a meaning. And when you find that meaning, what you're searching for, please follow it. If you enjoy what you heard in this video, I want you to like subscribe to the channel, right? Because like I've said, for the next few days, I'll be speaking about different problems that Gen Z men face in those different areas, and hopefully it's going to benefit you. So I want you to please share this video with somebody, right? There's that word of mouth referral that would help these videos go out there, right? Speaking of health-wise, relationship-wise, what can you do? Like, I'll be giving you what works already, what used to work, what doesn't work, and what you can do to move forward. And if you like what you're hearing in this video, please share with somebody. My name is Tonore. I'm still on my challenge for 90 days to create paid worthy content, right? Paid worthy content is content that you yourself are going to enjoy. And by the way, if you notice, this is actually my studio that I got to create my podcast for men. My podcast is supposed to be titled either Boys to Men or something, but basically it's supposed to be a podcast where I'm bringing other people. So I figured that something, people are out there in my office brainstorming, working, do some clients work. So we're currently at the studio, right? Black curtains, all black. Still figuring out what to do. So I believe the podcast, I just felt like, you know what, fuck it. This studio has been here for over a year, and at some point I have to use it. So I'm leaving like a lot of some clients work. So thank you very much. If you enjoy what you heard, see you soon. Share the video.